We're here today to deliver over 1,000 pages of weighted studies and documents and research papers that attest to the health and safety of our products and farming practices in Maui County.
Genes from one species and force it into the DNA of other species.
We have hundreds of millions of acres of genetically modified crops that have been planted in the United States, and yet most people are not aware.
I found out that our food supply is genetically modified. And guess what? The food that my son ate on August 25th, 2009 was raw corn. The corn that almost killed him.
The process of insertion plus cloning creates massive collateral damage. There can be hundreds or thousands of mutations up and down the DNA.
The things we're seeing today aren't normal.
Illnesses that weren't epidemic before are now epidemic.
We have gone from food in its whole food form to food undergoing a scientific experiment.
The havoc that it will cause will be across the entire spectrum of disease.
What the problem was is, I guess he said that they weren't able to process the food correctly and they would bloat up and die from it.
They can put it on the market without telling the FDA or to consumers.
It became clear that the FDA had been lying repeatedly since 1992.
It's not just an agriculture issue, it's not just a food industry issue, it's an ever-living creature issue.
And if we don't do anything within a decade, every single major crop with any significant market size is going to be genetically modified, and we're not going to know it.
Today's event was really about following through with our commitment to transparency with the County of Maui. In November of 2013, we actually signed an agreement with the County of Maui that promised that we would be transparent and provide information that would be publicly available so the community could have access to what we do and feel comfortable with what we're doing. So this was a follow-up.
This is Dr. Arpad Pustai. He was the one that discovered the problems, who was fired after 35 years and silenced with threats of a lawsuit. And here's a picture of the intestinal walls in the rats that were fed his supposedly harmless genetically modified potatoes after 10 days. Here's the stomach lining. I had a pediatrician from San Francisco say when she looked at these slides in my book, Genetic Roulette, she said to herself, uh-oh, we've got a problem. Because she was seeing this in her children. Failure to thrive, inability to digest or gain weight, allergic to everything. Skin rashes on thousands of Indian farm workers picking BT cotton. They allow animals to graze on the cotton plants after harvest. Thousands died. I visited this village. They had allowed their buffalo to graze on cotton plants for 8 years without problem. They grazed on BT cotton plants for a single day, and all 13 were dead within 3 or 4 days. Just one of many stories. Autism, the parallels are crazy. The gut bacteria, the gastrointestinal disorders, the leaky gut, the behavior problems, all seen so tightly that one scientist, Don Huber, was talking in Germany last year and described the behavioral, physiological, and neurological changes in the animals, both livestock and laboratory animals fed GMOs, and an autism expert came up to him and said this is exactly what's happening in autistic children. And on the film you will hear from autistic parents about some of the amazing improvements when they took their autistic sons off of GMOs. Here's the picture of the innards that are discolored on the right from the GM-fed cows. And I've been told this by butchers. There's a stench that's in the GM-fed that's not in the non-GM because the gut bacteria is all different. And it's discolored organs. And if you pull the intestines out, they shred, they're paper thin, they break. So they don't make sausage casings in the United States, they import them from New Zealand now. Here's the pig stomachs on the right that are fed GM, irritated, inflamed, more ulcers. In fact, the Danish pig farmer that took his pigs off of GM soy, he had 36 deaths by ulcers and bloat in the 2 previous years, none in the year since he had switched. Here's that gnarly picture of the liver on the right of animals, rats fed GM soy. Testicles changed from pink to blue. I like to let that one sink in a bit.
This was about our employees having a voice, our employees being proud about being part of local agriculture, our employees showing the county here, folks, and the community that they really care about local ag as a whole, all kinds of ag.
I love the research. I love what I do. I love working in agriculture. I've been doing it for 17 years, and it's still what drives me. I know what we do here has an impact around the world, you know, and that's important to me. That's why I do it.
Size of the rats, considerably different when the parents were fed GM soy. Now, I'm going to show you something about Roundup, which we haven't discussed. If you look at this slide, that's iron, manganese, and zinc. And you can see the uptake into a crop after the crop has been sprayed with Roundup is quite a bit less, and the translocation or movement of that through the plant is almost non-existent. Roundup was originally patented as a broad-spectrum chelator, meaning that it hugs nutrients and doesn't let them go. When the way that it kills plants is not just direct death, it's perfect storm kind of stuff. It's diabolical. It deprives the plant of nutrients. Those trace minerals are needed for basic functioning. Without it, the plants are defenseless. Roundup promotes pathogens in the soil which overtake the plant. So all of these pathogens are on the rise in the soil in the United States because of the use of Roundup, more than 40 plant diseases. And you'll see on the upper right, on the left Petri dish, fuzziness, fungus, fusarium, 500% increase in the land sprayed with Roundup. Fusarium can create mycotoxins, which through history have been linked to outbreaks of serious diseases. You can see on the right the yellowing of plants. Glyphosate was sprayed there the year before, but not on the left. It's more obvious here, where the back field was sprayed with Roundup. Glyphosate is Roundup's active ingredient. And the front here, the sprayer didn't get to, was too close to the pole. That's what it would have looked like in the back had Roundup not been sprayed. You can see the two fields very clearly. GMOs plus glyphosate or Roundup, and not. After 10 years, the wheat on the right looks like that when the field was sprayed for 10 years compared to the left after 1 year. Now, there's stillborn calves from manganese deficiency. The animals are having manganese deficiency. There's nearly a universal deficiency of manganese among animals, livestock in the U.S., as well as some other minerals. Why is that? Because the animals' primary diet is Roundup-ready crops, and the Roundup-ready crops are deprived of nutrients. So the crops are weak and sick, and the animals are weak and sick. And we eat both, and we eat the Roundup, which can then chelate or hug the nutrients inside of us, depriving us and leaving us defenseless.
They don't have access to all the information. They're the ones that now is their opportunity to step back, think about where they want local agriculture to go, get all the information before they make a decision. And this, hopefully the mayor's office makes these reports available. This is one-stop shopping, okay, for a global round of information that talks about exactly what people are concerned about.
Do you feel that the turnout or the representation did its job in getting its point across to the county?
Well, I don't know that getting its point across to the county was the point. I'll be real honest with you that our employees are very frustrated. They work very hard every day. They care about what they're doing. They know that they work in a safe environment. They know that Monsanto is a good company, and they hear people talking negatively about their employer and actually about them. This was an opportunity for our employees to have a voice for themselves and to be able to talk about, hey, I feel proud about what I do. So really, it was most important for them.
We support the science and safety behind GMOs.